ああ、そうだね。僕にとって日本語の曲は本当にかっこいい。みたいね。うん。僕にとって、その音が本当に、日本語の音はかっこいい。だから日本語の曲もかっこいい。うんうん。英語はちょっと、ゆっくりとバウンシー英語のリズムはちょっと、ストレスがいます。だから英語の曲はちょっとゆっくりね。曲はちょっとスローですね。英語のメロディーはストレスが本当に大事に Stress is very important with English melodies ですよね。英語のポップとかですよね。その言葉 like appreciation 英語のメロディーはright? appreciation ですよね。ストレスは本当に大事に。だから英語のメロディーはちょっとゆっくりですね。でも日本語でストレスはフラットですよね。だから日本語のメロディーはちょっと速い。そして面白い。そしてエキサイティングですね。ワクワクするね。うんうん。ですよね。だから曲、like その曲、フォニーのメロディーですよね。what is it? 英語でそのメロディーはちょっと難しいね。でも日本語でそのメロディーはいいだよね。意味が、日本語の歌詞の意味がわかります。英語のリリックでそのメロディーはちょっと意味は難しいですよね。だから日本語の曲本当にかっこいいね。そしてハイテンションがいますね。I hope that made sense. What I like listening to Japanese songs is that the melody is written for Japanese language because the stress of the language is flat, right? You don't have to stress certain words. Like with the English word appreciation, you have to, in a melody, a properly written English melody for that, you have to have the melody either have a low or high note for the stressed syllables, like appreciation, right? So, whereas in Japanese, you have more freedom. 日本語のメロディーはもっと英語メロディーよりフリーだね。日本語メロディー。Japanese lyrics feel more free because they're not bound by the stresses that make English easily understandable, right? So if I wanted to write a song that's like appreciation, I couldn't make it be like appreciation because that sounds robotic, right? You need to make it be like appreciation, right? You need to have that kind of stress there. And even then, you can't be like appreciation. You have to be like the lower note for the non-stressed syllables works better. So there's a lot of rules for English melodies to make them understandable. But in Japanese, I feel like it's a lot more free. You can have more fun with the melodies. You can make them faster. You can make them jump more. And that's what I like about Japanese songs. I think it's really cool. I hope I explained that well enough in Japanese before I try. But it's why like English pop songs have to, they never get past a certain BPM, right? Because then it becomes difficult to understand. You never hear a pop song on the radio that's hitting like, unless it's rock and it's halftime, that's going over like 160 BPM really. You don't really hear that. But I feel like with Japanese songs, that's fairly common to go up to, you know, that type of speed because it's still understandable, right? The lyrics, the meaning can still get across even at that song speed. whereas in English it can't. So I like that. That's something I like about Japanese music. You have the freedom to go way faster and still keep the meaning and keep it understandable. I hope that made sense, but that's why. I think both are great though. I love English music. I love Japanese music, but that's something that is really interesting about Japanese music that I like. 120 the norm for Western music? Yes. Around 120. 128 is the pop BPM. A little bit faster than like a resting heartbeat, I think, to get you like feel dance and excited. 140 is for like, I think, certain EDM genres. 160 is when you get into like drum and bass, like that stuff. And anything faster than that is normally, like if you go to 180, that's actually probably a rock song that's secretly 90 BPM, right? Or Nightcore. You know? Most Western music, most English music lies within 85 to 140 BPM, I would say. 145, maybe. Doesn't Western hip-hop tend to bend the rules a little? A little bit, but that's because in order to write good, like rap, right, you need to have such a knowledge of syllabic stress, such a knowledge of, you know, a meaning getting across and which sounds you can stress and which sounds you can't, that, you know, fast rap tends to be like a honed art, right? And it's still something that like if you listen to, you can understand what they're saying, right? Like that's the point. Like that is an example, but they're also like cutting a lot of sounds. They're not proper. They're not like, they are properly enunciating, but they're enunciating just enough so that you get the meaning across, right? And that in itself is a kind of art form and a linguistic style that is very unique to the genre. And it does, I think that is probably the fastest that like you can hear like still having meaning be understood in English in a musical genre. I think like rap is probably it. The fastest that I've heard, at least, you know. But that is because they also don't tend to have to, and most of the time they're not confined by melodic stress, right? So they can just keep the rhythm and then they can stress it. They can stress certain notes based on rhythmic stress. So they don't have to, you know, stick within a key and stuff like that. There's freedom in other ways, which leads to them being able to be, you know, faster pace. It's really cool. I wish I knew how to like I say all this, you know, I'm a huge fan of like, you know, I'm really interested in the intricacies of musical genres, but I'm so bad at rap. I got like no rhythm. Maybe that's why I find it so cool, right? So interesting, because it really is like, it's so cool, you know? Maybe one day, maybe. That's a whole other ball game, exactly. Yeah, I think spoken word might be more my thing. That's what is in With Good Spirits.